Hello. Today I want to talk about the topic of sobriety. And I've been sober from alcohol for about 9 years now, and sober from many other substances for a number of years. And the main purpose of me sharing this today is that I wanted to remind us that the addiction or addictions go beyond just the desire to, or rejection, to consume or to partake in an activity and the biological effects of the cycle of that. And the main cause of the addiction, of the pattern, actually comes from what some may call trauma. And often, not always, but often the trauma is something that has been rooted within the person from childhood. And I also want to remind us, most of our parents have done what they can with what they know and what they have the capacity for. Most parents have a desire to provide their children with the best life possible that they can. But they themselves are also usually carrying their own intergenerational traumas and societal programs, and they, often, depending on the age of the person too, they haven't usually embodied the wisdoms that may come to them, that they may remember later on in life when maybe they're a grandparent or they're just of an older generation. So, and so I don't want to put all the blame on the parents, on the grandparents, on our family systems, but I'm also aware that is often where our traumas can come from, not all of them, and also aware that the trauma is occurring in childhood, but also society is not always very supportive of being able to help those in particular situations. If the family can't assist with behaviours that are going on to the child and around the child. And I'm sharing this because I have my own intergenerational trauma, and it's also tied in with the substance of alcohol. There's also other addictions that I'm not going to go into here. But alcohol is definitely a very prominent intergenerational trauma that I myself went through as a child, and had picked up some things leading into adulthood that led me with my own issues with that substance. And then, I still have things that I am working through and will continue to work through because of that intergenerational patterning, but also other intergenerational patterning as well. So I'm not perfect. I know my family's not perfect, and I'm doing what I can to take as much responsibility as I can as to whether I will continue to play out certain patterns. And just having the awareness is what I consider the most important. The awareness of where it comes from, when it's arising. Can I choose to have a different action? I can't control the emotion, and you should never try and control the emotion, never repress it. Having the awareness of the emotion, but then making the decision of how do I want to react from that space, which is more, how do I want to respond to that? What do I need to do to assist that as that's arising? And, because addiction is usually a behavior that we have because we want to avoid a reality that we don't feel we have the capacity to go into and to move through. And that is usually the reason why people continue with the addiction. It helps to disconnect from a reality that one does not want to face, that one does not feel they can face, one does not believe they have the support that they can face. And unless you've gone through addiction yourself, or you have been very close with someone for a number of years, then you may struggle to actually really understand what that is like. Although addiction is very common. I'm not saying it's normal, but it's very common within modern society. So I'm sure that many of you watching this either have gone or going through your own addictions, and or have, you know, friends and family that also have their own addictions that you have either witnessed or supported them through that. So yeah, yes, there are different actions that obviously one can take to assist with going through addiction. You know, I'm aware there's different programs and there's different things that may be specifically focused on particular addictions that people may have. You know, and obviously that those actions are things that you can take, and or the person that's suffering with the addiction can undertake and go through. But it's also important to remember that until you actually address the underlying cause, which is the trauma, aka the pattern, it will forever be knocking at your door. And it may still even be knocking at the door, even if you are aware of the trauma, the pattern, you know why it's there, you know how it plays out. But when you are actually having the awareness, the root cause of where it comes from, you can often find that you might be able to look at it from a different perspective or a different state that is better suited to be able to deal with the pattern as it's arising, with these certain emotions as they're arising, with these circumstances that often will lead you to go back into the addiction. So yeah, it's just a reminder of like having compassion and really actually understanding of where addiction comes from, and not just like disregarding those that are suffering from addiction as, you know, I don't know, you can think of all sorts of character disregardments, whatever, you know, that people have about people that are suffering from addiction. It's not an easy thing to get out of, and obviously there's actions that can be undertaken, but the most important thing with those actions is to actually get to the root cause of where and why and how that actually arises. You know, beyond just the biological effects of that, what it might have on the body and on the mind, on the emotional state, on the spirit. And also just wanted to mention, like, I personally have found, you know, there's lots of really good, I guess you could say, psychologists or people that are very trauma informed, should I say, in regards to addiction. And one of them that I have always found really enjoyable to, not necessarily should I say enjoyable, but I really relate to his work, is Dr. Gabor Mate. So if you're not aware of his work, I recommend, you know, reading some of his books on addiction. Or if you are aware and you feel like you need to go back and reread some of his stuff, you know, he doesn't just talk about addiction. He's actually talks a lot about trauma in different areas, but he's also got some really good work focusing in on addiction. And you know, I'm excited in a certain extent to see how this is going to evolve. Beyond just giving someone the medication, or beyond just telling them they need to go cold turkey or whatever it is, because we know that those things are just like putting band-aids and bandages on the wounds. We got to get right to the root of the cause, and often the way and where the modern medical system is at in regards to mental health and addiction is it's still very much a surface level. That's not where everyone is at. There are, you know, there is research being done, and there are people that have gone through the mainstream system, and those that sit on the edges of that as well, that are aware of how much deeper that we have to go, and they often, not always, but they can have the ability to take people there as well. And, you know, obviously this information, it's important for them to hold, but also for them to share, and that for us to also be able to support those, even though we may not be medically trained, And of course, we're not going to take on the full role ourselves, but if we are at least aware of where these things are coming from, we can better, I guess, support and assist ourselves, our family, our friends, our community, and I guess it's the world at large. So if there's anything that you wanted to share in regards to this topic, you're more than welcome to. You can leave it in the comment section down below. And if you feel like there's something you want to discuss with me, but that's more private in regards to this topic, you can email me. You can also reach out to me on a number of social media platforms, which I have in the description box below. And I will see you in the next vlog.